Hi, my YouTube family. Put on your headphones because today's story will steal your sleep.
In the darkness of the night, they say, a shadow roams that smells blood, steals fear, and whose gaze, once it falls upon you, tears your soul apart and crushes it under its claws, while your screams dissolve into the air, vanishing forever. First it scents your blood, then listens to the beat of your heart, and if fear flickers in your eyes, death stalks you relentlessly. And today I am going to tell you the story that will make your heart stop, as shadows of terror surround you with every step. This story happened years ago in the mysterious graveyard of Fog Hollow, a desolate cemetery where the rustling of dense trees, crumbling tombstones, and the night wind carrying eerie screams created a terrifying, enigmatic atmosphere. Every grave adorned with ancient stones, every corner alive with shadows, as if the dead themselves were watching. And then a young researcher, Adrian, curious about the paranormal, ventured there one night when darkness was so heavy that even the lanterns dissolved in the mist. The stench of the earth like blood underfoot, each step crunching through soil, and suddenly he felt a presence stalking him, a cold wind swirling around him, branches bending toward him, as if some hidden shadow was crawling through the ground. Then his eyes fell upon a towering, monstrous black figure, its eyes glowing like embers, claws tearing through the earth, and for a moment his heart froze. Then the shadow pounced onto the ground, the smell of blood suffusing every breath he took. Adrian heard a scream, yet no sound came from anywhere, only heartbeats rising from beneath the ground, each grave seeming to move. And suddenly, small spots of blood began seeping from a tomb, flesh tearing, bones scraping the soil. The shadow roamed, the earth trembling under each step, the scent of blood thickening in the air. Adrian's feet sinking into the trembling ground, his heartbeat racing, and the shadow leapt from one grave to another, sometimes under tree roots, sometimes between ancient tombs, small droplets of blood scattering everywhere, sometimes the air thick with the smell of iron and decay, sometimes small body parts slowly emerging from the soil. Adrian felt as if the dead from every grave were staring at him, the shadow flapping its way across broken branches, old tombstones cracking and falling on their own, lanterns flickering and dying, every inch of the cemetery breathing blood and fear. Sometimes the shadow slipped inside graves, sometimes watching a living or dead soul through its glowing eyes, sometimes hiding in the leaves, sometimes creeping through ancient soil, scattering droplets of blood in its wake, sometimes vanishing into the ground, sometimes erupting suddenly from beneath, the ground shaking with each step, every movement filled with screams, the shadow lunging over Adrian, his eyes seeming to drown in rivers of blood, tiny fragments of flesh lifting from the soil, old tombs cracking open, the shadow slowly disappearing underground and reappearing, spreading fear and the stench of death with every motion. Adrian's body frozen with terror, his feet sinking, and as he tried to flee, the shadow leapt after him, sometimes emerging from the earth, sometimes hiding in branches to attack, scattering droplets of blood into the air, pulling small body parts from the soil, sometimes pressing against Adrian's face to feel the rhythm of his veins, fear intensifying with each heartbeat, each breath bringing the shadow closer, sometimes clutching his feet, staining his hands with blood, disappearing into tomb edges only to reappear, darkness and blood growing with every move, Adrian's heart pounding, each breath steeped in terror, the shadow swirling around him, its form fracturing in the mist rising from the graves, Fog Hollow Cemetery presenting a scene of gore, horror, and mystery, every shadow alive, every rustle and sound terrorizing Adrian, the shadow appearing like droplets of blood inside and outside graves, tombstones cracking, small pieces of flesh lifting, blood dispersing in the air, tree branches bending to strike, the shadow rising from deep graves, swirling through the air, sometimes hidden underground, producing metallic and bone-cracking sounds, tombs splitting open, droplets of blood spraying into the air, the shadow pouncing on Adrian's chest, consuming his soul, finally crushing his body to the ground, his screams blending into the night wind, and in that moment, Adrian realized that whoever comes into contact with its blood will never live again. The shadow roaming every night through the valley and cemetery of Fog Hollow, spreading fear and death, sometimes igniting fire above graves, sometimes leaping from tree branches, sometimes emerging from the earth, droplets of blood scattering, tombstones cracking, mist rising slowly, darkness engulfing every corner of the cemetery. And to this day, people call it by the name Highgate Vampire. If you enjoyed dark, mysterious, and spine-chilling stories, then subscribe to my channel now, because the next story might be about you.